Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. We are going to get into the latest on Armie Hammer, the latest on, of course, Megan Markle and Sharon Osbourne. We have so much to talk about. And I have, who I have referred to many times, the Zen Blonde here, but her real name is Lauren Skae. Lauren, thank you for coming to the Woodland Hills headquarters, looking so cute.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I'm a huge Juicy Scooper.
I love it. So, as you guys know, I've said this before, it was Lauren's Tik Tok about Casey Hammer, Armie's aunt, which got me made aware of Casey to me. I was made aware of her through you. And of course, this big article came out. And you really have been the Armie Hammer expert. And I like the way you do your videos and get to the point. But you also have, like discovering Casey Hammer and all this juicy story, you kind of have discovered a lot of different things that aren't featured in the Vanity Fair, that aren't known. So let's just get into it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was crazy finding Casey. And yes. I mean, once I opened the door to that, my DMs started absolutely flooding.
With extra info.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, the article...
I mean, she's come here with, like, let me just tell you something. Very organized. You're a professional woman.
I'm a pro.
But you are a professional woman. You like, you have a whole nother, like, real career and business background and everything. So I like the way that you, like, really, dot your I's and cross your T's and bring the info, as well as being entertaining. So thank you for coming and making today juicy and easy for me.
Oh my God, of course. Well, listen, anything I can do to get the word out there about the story, because Casey Hammer and I have become great friends, and there's been a whole lot of injustices. I mean, starting with her grandfather, who, I mean, had Soviet background things going on. He,
this is in fact Armand. So this would Armand. Be Armie's great grandfather.
Yes.
And yes, let's just start with him and some of the real atrocities that he did living his life, lack of morality and every awful and just being a dick.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that for a minute.
Totally. So he came to the States. He didn't really have money. He had this book written about him, and he was his own best PR person. Like, the book made it seem like he had money. He had somebody ghostwrite it. And so anything you find about him in the LA Times, like, some of it's fact and some of it's fiction from the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like,
he
if you
created
go back,
his own story.
He created his own story, and then he met a wealthy woman. He invested in Occidental,
which I thought that
petroleum.
Part was interesting. That it was really his wife's money that got him to the next level of wealth.
Yeah.
And what he invested in was a smart investment, obviously.
Yeah.
But still, it was, you almost wonder, was that always his plan? Just like other people have to marry well. I think he was looking to marry well, which back then it was rare that a man would be seeking a rich woman, but it's happened throughout history,
Totally. I mean, he would use anything he could to get to where he wanted to go, including like changing his religion for different groups. Like when he was in Saudi Arabia, he said he was Unitarian. When he was in LA, he said he was a WASP. When there was another one too. And then at the end of his life, he was converting to Judaism. But I think the juiciest thing about him was his mistress.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Because his mistress, originally she had one name. I forget what it is now. Sorry about that. But she legally changed her name to Hillary Gibson.
Are you sure it wasn't Hilaria?
You know what? We have to go back in the record and find out, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where this all came from.
Yeah.
But so basically his wife found out about the mistress. His wife got onto him, and so he was, instead of like being a normal person and either fessing up and getting divorced or like just, leaving the mistress, he had the mistress go into disguises, wear a wig, put her on the company payroll, legally change her name, was with her until
And
the
then you
end
said
of his
also
life.
plastic surgery, which is always so weird because back then, what year would this have been around?
God, I mean,
approximately
I think 1950s.
1950s, and you kind of didn't think that plastic surgery existed.
No.
But Marilyn Monroe got a nose job.
Yeah, she did.
I think she was like the first one to get a nose job. I believe Dolly Parton was one of the first people to get a boob job.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian was one of the first people to like really enhance her ass in a good way. Or, that could be debated, but it's gone back down. I think it's coming back. But I'm just saying, like, even Kylie made the lips, plastic surgery is kind of very interesting. And I think you think that it didn't really exist back then. It probably wasn't perfected.
Yeah.
But it existed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The trends change. So you get a nose job in the 90s, it might not be the right nose in, 2020, just to let you know. I've known that to be the case for some people. But, just craziness. And then at the end of his life, this woman's like, expecting her big payday because she's been told that she was going to be taken care of by him. She gets to the will reading and nothing is left to her. She knew about some Swiss bank accounts and she ended up making away with $4.2 million in total.
So like she went to the bank account and somehow got it before anyone else knew that this like secret money existed.
Somehow, or I think more so she used it as leverage against, the people who were kind of holding the purse strings. Maybe Michael and co. And people at Occidental that kind of knew about the Swiss bank account. So she had a little bit more leverage than Casey, who really only got $250K, who is Armie's aunt, you know.
And when Casey talks about visiting her dad in, was it Hancock Park? What part of LA? And the grandma, and that there were some nice memories, though it had to be very regal and meeting and everything, which, that part I don't think is that weird back then to be like having to dress properly to see your rich grandparents.
Yeah.
But was she ever aware that there were other women in her grandfather's life as a child? Do you remember any?
You know what? I'm not sure about that, but I know she does have a speaking relationship with Hillary now, and Hillary's still alive.
Hillary's still alive.
Yeah, I don't know how old she is, but I know like she didn't want to make a comment for Vanity Fair and all that stuff. So she's definitely a little bit more private, but I imagine she must be.
Well, I have some exciting news for you.
Yeah.
Hillary, come on into
Eladia!
Well, I can't tell you, but he was a real asshole.
No, wow, that's amazing. I did not know that either.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then let's get into the next thing. So then it's her dad is Julian, who is the only son of, is he the only child?
He's the only child of Armie Hammer. And I mean, he was just like a train wreck. If he wanted to get his dad's attention, he had to behave very badly. His father, on the other hand, like saw him as like a tarnish on his perfect reputation. And when Julian would get in the media for bad things, it was just like.
And the bad things were always drug, alcohol, crazy antics, kind of classic, like trashing the hotel room, kind of things like that's what was out in the public. And the police, from what I remember reading in the book and stuff, the LAPD, people like that would, and especially back then, would brush those things off. You know, if you got pulled over for drinking, you know, they would get him in a cab, make sure he got home okay, never arrest him, those kind of constantly protecting him. But then there was like, what was the murder thing that happened?
Okay, so basically, like, it was like the twilight hours of his 26th birthday.
Of Julian's.
Of Julian's 26th birthday. He was still married to Casey Hammer's mother. So Sue, I think her name was.
Yes. And
so apparently he and this guy got into a dispute over a gambling debt, and because Julian felt that the man was hitting on his wife.
Okay.
He shot the man. Now, Armie Hammer.
So wait, Julian thought the man was hitting on his wife, who was his wife after Sue or with Sue?
This was the original wife. That's Casey Hammer and Michael Hammer's mother.
Okay. So he thought this guy was hitting on her.
Yeah,
okay.
He was like 26 years old. So he was still really young.
They're young. Okay.
And so basically a friend delivered $50,000 to a lawyer, and it was written off as self-defense, but allegedly, Casey's mother said that it was not self-defense.
And the juiciest part of the story is that lawyer was Mr. Tom Girardi. No, I'm just kidding.
But he can't remember because
he can't remember where the 50,000 came.
You know.
It's actually going to the glam squad.
Yeah.
It's expensive to baby. No, that do not confuse
Listen,
all the LA stories.
they have to pay a lot of people to hoist her into that latex.
Yes, it cost a lot, and it comes from Julian Hammer. No, so the man died, but the whole thing just was forgotten, swept under the rug. Forget
Totally.
it.
And
Yes.
I mean, listen, it wasn't just trashing the hotel room with Julian.
Yeah.
It was like Casey Hammer as a young child.
Yeah.
Holding a phone book over her head when she cowers in fear because her dad's passed out guns in the house, like party favors.
Yeah.
To all of his messed up, like on drugs and alcohol house guests. Casey's a little child. She's holding the phone booth over her book over her head, not understanding why her father's making her do this. And then he was gonna try to shoot at her like she was a target, and she ran away. But I mean, it was a very volatile situation. Right. And it was just like the wrong people to have any sort of access to firearms, and they had many, so there was just a lot going on there.
So we have talked about then what happened. She was sexually assaulted, molested by her dad, Julian, also by her brother, Michael. Mm-hmm. But as a 60-year-old woman, she just really pushed that in the back of her mind, didn't share it with anyone, didn't go to therapy, nothing. And now they're adults, and the grandpa is dying, and Michael, the brother, is now married to Drew, who is the daughter of a very prominent, like, super Christian,
evangelical, like Christian,
yes. And they have had the two boys, Armie and his brother. What's the brother's name? Victor or something?
Victor, I believe. Yeah.
And Casey's like fine with them and everything.
Yeah.
And then Armand is dying, and somehow Michael is that relative that comes in with the, and in the final hour manages to basically change the will, and so it's all in his favor, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, what was written in Surviving My Birthright, Casey Hammer's account of everything was Casey went to have a discussion with her grandfather. He called her in for this discussion. He was in his probably final month. She actually, I think, flew from her job in Hawaii. And so he told her, you're going to be set for life. You're going to be on the Occidental payroll. There's money in a Swiss bank account for you for when things get tied up in the trust, because there's going to be a lot of disputes. I know it, because when there's that much money, there's always disputes. And so she was,
trusting.
Yeah, she was anticipating, and there was a lawyer there that was taking note of this. And there was also a woman who was who Armand was under her care, who was actually worked in the hospital when Armand's wife had passed away. Uh-huh. So basically, when the will reading happens, the piece of paper that was kind of had everything about what Casey had agreed upon with her grandfather went missing. The lawyer, played dumb. Then you had the woman who was the caretaker who may have been paid off in some way.
Right.
And then you have Michael Hammer, who, when the will was read to be in his total control, she wrote in her book, there was a diabolical smirk on his face. Like he just, was the cat that got the cream.
Yeah.
And, could you imagine?
I mean, you can't imagine when you're raised with that much money, and I know somebody maybe by sitting at home and going, but she still got $250,000, and then they did fight it after many years, and in the end, she and her dad, I think, each got $1.4 million, which, is a decent amount, but still, compared to what it was, and compared to what her brother got, and so yeah, at 60 years old, she is working at a Home Depot, which it's still a great job.
Yeah.
She's a kitchen designer. She obviously has talent, but I mean, she was screwed.
Yeah.
When you're raised in that kind of wealth and background, and you've suffered and you kept your mouth shut about this craziness, and this is what you get handed, and then you have to fight for years to get the 1.4, which is still nothing.
Yeah.
Causing the rift, getting you. Now wait, when the grandpa died, do you recall how old Armie was around?
Can't remember
where
that.
was it? Because at one point she said she was going to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
She was going to go to Armie and Elizabeth's wedding. And so things were okay. I don't know if that's after the settlement of the 1.4 and she was just accepting and living her life. And then all of a sudden she was cut off from that.
Something tells me it would have been quite a while after that.
Yeah.
And the reason why they had to play nice was because their biological mother was still alive.
Oh,
So
okay.
the biological mother died, 5 months before Armie's wedding, and that's when Casey was disinvited. And, I've become close with Casey over this time, and, Elizabeth keeps on saying she's never met Casey, and,
Elizabeth, Armie's ex.
Yeah. And Casey's like, that's so crazy because I spent a weekend with her.
Yeah.
With my mother. And, so I don't know, I'm glad Elizabeth's finally seeing the light, but I think she did know Casey, maybe not well. But, I would remember meeting my spouse's
Well, Casey
aunt.
told me that since this all went down, Elizabeth reached out to her.
Yeah.
And I don't believe Casey has responded because she just is like, I don't know with everything that's going on.
Yeah, of course.
To turn it all back around to me, which is my favorite thing to do, I had Peter take me to the Bird Bakery in San Antonio, which is Elizabeth's bakery. In the article was mentioned that at one point Armie, when he was married to Elizabeth, was driving to Texas and either got a DUI or was smoking pot. There's some story in that. There's so much in that Vanity Fair article. But anyway, I went to the Bird Bakery. I had a little mini cupcake for $2.
How was it?
Delicious.
Okay.
It was an award-winning carrot cake muffin. There are no, I didn't see that there were any kind of meat pies or anything like that. Or
you can't trust the meat pies at a Bird Bakery.
Definitely did not have any of that. Oh, and I had a chocolate and peanut butter one between my first and second show Saturday night. And Julie Goldman we both decided that the baked goods were very good.
I would have only tried the vegan ones.
Yeah, maybe so. But it was all good. Okay, so let's continue on with what you have here.
Yeah, I mean, so all that stuff with Michael is crazy, and it just continued on.
So then, at one point, we know this from the article and everything else. Michael and Drew, his super Christian wife, and the two boys, they start living in the Cayman Islands. Mm-hmm. Which we all know that's where you can hide a shit ton of money and escape the law, the taxes, whatever.
There was that Tom Cruise movie that inspired him to do it.
That was where he got the idea.
Yeah, literally. How cheesy is that?
I didn't even know that you could hide money in the Cayman Islands until Tom Cruise was running around in the firm. Also, that was the same firm that told Megan Markle that, no, just kidding. I thought that was the word because she kept calling it the firm. And I'm like, the firm from Tom Cruise?
You mean Michael Hammer?
Yeah. It was Michael Hammer. However, though, there is ties to Armand. There's photographs of Armand and Prince Charles and, being friendly with English royalty. And also, wasn't he... What was the story with George W. Bush and Armie Hammer?
So here's the deal. So he was trying to distance himself from the Soviet Union, espionage stuff, which was a very real thing. But he gave money to the Nixon campaign, and it was in direct connection, allegedly, it's thought to be in direct connection to Watergate. He got in trouble for that, for obstruction of justice. And did. And then George H.W. Bush pardoned him. But he was at all these presidential inaugurations, and he was so tied in.
Yes.
Which is how rich do you have to be able to get your son, acquitted of murder and say, oh, it was a self-defense act, I mean.
Well, I mean, and now we know, again, because I've gone real deep into the California Bar Association and Tom Girardi, of his career and being close to judges and being able to say, I had someone who said that they're, I've had a couple people say that they're, third DUI, whatever, but they were friends with Tom Girardi. And when the hearing happened, Tom Girardi walked up, and this is hearsay, walked up to the judge, said something, and the whole thing was dismissed.
Oh, I believe
and
it.
So it's yes, a powerful lawyer has relationships with the judge, and the judge decides how far it goes, or a relationship with the DA who then doesn't pursue it. It is all, and then the governor, you give money to the governor who's running for governor. And of course, I mean, that's what politics can be, and it's amazing time to be exposing it all, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to divert too much, but it's not the first case of a murder being kind of shifted in that family, because Armie Hammer's father, I believe his name was Julius, was a doctor, and
Oh, so now we're talking great.
great.
Yeah.
He, there was this case where a Russian diplomat's wife was given an abortion and she died. And the great went to jail, but apparently
Because he performed the abortion.
Because he performed the abortion. But apparently, what I heard was that it was actually Armand, and Armand admitted this to his wife that did the abortion. He was pre-med, and the father went to jail for him because he had a medical license, a full-blown medical license, and it would be easier for him to kind of get through jail. So
can you
imagine?
I performed medical malpractice. Not my son, who's not even a doctor, performed an operation that in fact killed a woman.
Exactly.
And do you think that he was the father of that baby that he was aborting? Why would he bother to do it?
I don't know. I mean, it was a diplomat's wife, so maybe it was just like a favor, but I don't know. Good question.
Oh my.
Gotta ring the 1920s and be like,
jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, so continue with the other juice you have.
I mean, the Michael Hammer of it all is just really, really interesting.
Yes.
I think all roads are leading to Montecito right now with the Meghan Markle and Harry over there, Oprah, your arch nemesis, and
Yes.
Then we have Michael Hammer, who's had a presence in Montecito. So he actually found a woman at the Biltmore, Four Seasons Biltmore. She was a healer there, and he proposed to her.
Now, a healer, come on. I thought she was she's a massage therapist, I think, that just called herself a healer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's pretty, anyway, that's kind of a weird thing to call yourself. But okay,
it's
so
very
she's a
California,
healer.
Out of touch moment.
Yeah.
Just like, both feet are off the ground.
Yeah.
Not with reality. But
Right.
his proposal was a red, white, and blue proposal. And he said, red Birkin bag, my white Rolls Royce, and the blues of my eyes on the 4th of July were how he proposed. He said that was the theme, the red, white, and blue theme.
Okay. And how old is this chick?
God, I don't know her age, but she's definitely younger than him. And I do have some juice about
Tell.
an actual Michael Hammer encounter. So
Yes.
I know we're both mutual friends with Kate Casey.
Yes.
And
Reality Life with Kate Casey. Yes.
She's wonderful and,
Yes.
mom of 5. But at this
Yeah.
point, about 5 years ago, she was a mom of 4. And she was
Okay.
in, full breastfeeding mom mode, okay?
Yeah.
Truly, I think the kids were out with her at the restaurant with her husband.
And it was at La Quinta Resort and Spa, which is where Tayshia found love, and now Tayshia is the new host of The Bachelor. And again, just full circle. So Kate Casey's out. She's got a baby on the nip. What's happening?
So she's at this, restaurant. Michael Hammer's sitting next to her, and she said, I'm just one of those people just divulge to me.
Yeah.
And so Michael Hammer's just going off about how he thinks Armie's acting career is dumb and how he's,
and this is only 5 years ago.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he had an acting career at this point, but I think he was just, shitting all over his son. And
well, also in the article, I want to say there was that other article that somebody wrote, stop trying to make Armie Hammer happen.
Yeah.
Because yes, we were introduced to him when he was playing identical twins in The Social Network, which was just such a fascinating movie, and he was so hot. But then there were all these other movies I wasn't even made aware of until I read the bits about that article, until he got nominated for the Golden Globe, which was Say My Name.
Yeah.
And where he played a guy who has sex with a child, mind you. It was a gay romance, but he is having sex with a teenage boy that he's visiting the family and portraying himself as straight, and they have this romance. And that's where the peach comes in. But anyway, we'll get back to the peach later, or never. But so he is one of those people that, and we've seen it happen with female actresses too throughout the years, where they just keep getting role after role after role, and you're like, are they really that great? What makes you special? You're not this amazing actress. Why is it that this person gets 8 chances or 7 failed pilots that are on the air for 2 years, and they just keep getting them deals? And I've seen it in my career as a comedian with TV, where I'm like, all right, girl, it's how many chances do you get? And I feel like he was one of those people, I think, because he is so gorgeous and charming, and I think people, wanted to keep giving
Listen,
him chances. So the dad was kind of
incredibly
ripping
charming.
on it.
So dad's ripping on it, and then he's doing this thing where he's like leading her to an answer. So like if I were to be like, she wants all our family's money. She like leading you to say something. What does that sound like to you? And Kate Casey's like, well, it sounds like a gold digger, and he's basically calling Elizabeth that. And
so wait, he starts telling Kate Casey about.
He's like saying negative things about Elizabeth, and he's like, well, she does this and she does that. What does that sound like to you? And
then, they hadn't gotten married yet, or
they were married at this point.
They were married.
I think. Unclear on that one.
Meanwhile,
but then,
she's making tiny muffins, and not
she's
getting
an industrious woman.
Yeah.
Like she's, she would have been fine. Like, come on, like But I think it's maybe Michael projecting his own like money grabbing behavior onto somebody else.
He never really had a career of any sort.
No, and like he's just like he's trying to hold on to his own money. So anyway, what ended up happening was Kate had this banter with them, and then he was leading her to that, and he was just being very open with her. And then Kate Casey gets a text. I guess they exchanged numbers. Come back to our place. And there were rumors of them being swingers. So I was like, oh my God, did he? And she's like, no, there's no way. He thought I was cool. Like, I was with my kids, and I was like, well, maybe that was the final frontier. You were lactating,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, this guy seems like a creep.
That might have been it. He might have been like, that's the source that's gonna, Oh my God.
So I don't know,
Did she get to meet the healing wife? Was the wife?
Oh, the healing wife was there too.
Yeah.
They were both asking her to come back and hang. So she said you should ask Heather what Heather thinks. But
well, this is what I think. I do think people think like just like placenta and all that stuff and baby's blood or whatever, that's like a weird thing. But like I do think people feel that breast milk can be healing. And I don't know where I heard this, but someone said, I was doing Jeff Lewis' show, and this woman said, my doctor said if you put I had some eczema on my elbow, and I put my breast milk on it, and it went away. Yeah. Like it's like this amazing stuff. So who knows? Maybe they did want some of her breast milk. He does
tan a lot, so maybe he felt like it could be good for his skin.
The dad's a tanner?
He is. Oh my gosh.
No wonder he's in La Quinta.
He is. Well, I mean, and so... Yeah, I mean, I saw a girl on TikTok that was using her sister-in-law's breast milk frozen as a facial treatment, and I was horrified. So, I mean, it is a thing, but I don't know. I mean, very, very crazy.
So then let's talk about this. One of your TikToks here, the way you do it here.
I have to give credit where credit's due.
Of course.
So I sleuth with two girls. One of them is Bravo, Ducking Bravo, and the other one
I follow them
is
too.
BBF Bravo. These girls, I text them more than anyone, and we sleuth like crazy. So Bravo, Ducking Bravo made this drawing on the back of her child's construction paper. And so... when you look at the sex chair, it's 7 feet tall.
Wait, let's talk about the sex chair. Yeah. We haven't introduced the sex chair into the podcast yet. In the Vanity Fair article, they talk about how Michael is very proud of this sex chair. It doesn't really seem like it was a secret. Yeah. Explain where this was living, this thing.
So the sex chair allegedly lived in their headquarters in Carpinteria. And what I heard from, an anonymous source is that he scorned someone in business, and that person had a picture of him with the sex chair, and it's been going around town. And the Vanity Fair writer has probably seen a photo of the picture, and the photo exists.
Can describe. We can't share the photo, but
she can describe.
And the way it was described was it's a big throne. Mm-hmm. There's a hole that you would sit on, like a toilet hole. Yeah. And then underneath, someone would be caged inside, having to look up at your... I mean, isn't this... It sounds like you get shit on.
That was the only conclusion I could come to. I mean, the other thing that really confused me, there's a hook in the cage, which sounds really awful.
A hook like almost like you're tied, you can't leave, or?
I don't know if the hook would be to harness someone or what. Okay. I tried to Google if there's like chairs like this online that I could understand what this is for, but I mean, it's the writing's kind of on the wall.
Well, it's diabolical, but
diabolical.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it's obviously in that S&M like demeaning kind of thing. Yeah. And there's no doubt that Armie was introduced to it somehow or witness to something, or it's not like he never was exposed to this.
And
it's just impossible.
Reaction to this chair was that it was an unsolicited gag gift when he was a new divorcee. And it's like, Really? So your friend's going to send you an unsolicited 7-foot tall chair that you're going to have to store? That
And it was
a
7 foot
huge
tall. And
gift?
didn't it also have like the emblem of some?
It had the family crest right where
family
the hole
crest.
was. You can kind of see she drew that in there. So it was very customized.
Well, Casey also said to me that, yeah, it's her understanding that he cheated all the time, Michael, on Drew.
Yeah.
However, they remained like married for whatever 30 years, and she finally divorced him.
Yeah.
And then, but throughout it, and I said to her, I go, well, do you think that, I do feel like cheating and whatnot is sort of a learned behavior sometimes in families. Sometimes you're like, I'm never going to be like my dad.
Yeah.
But sometimes you sort of justify how your dad has lived his life, and maybe sometimes like, don't ask, don't tell.
Totally.
My mom has this great life, and he's really nice to my mom in person, but she, we know they have girlfriends because I've heard my mom yelling or whatever. And so we were sort of talking about, like, I'm like, do you think that Armie met Elizabeth and had a normal sex life and a normal life with kids and had fun as a couple and had a rapport, but then was able to have these women on the side that he could be as freaky with as he wanted.
Yeah.
And he didn't really ever want to mesh the two crazy sex lives. He liked having this normal wife.
Yeah.
With the normal sex. And I definitely think that was the case because we found out, that she knew he was cheating. He admitted that there was some admittance to him cheating right after one child was born. And then the final thing was that he, I think you might have put this in your TikTok, was she was accidentally, which I talk about in my act, when you accidentally send a tweet, a text that was meant for your lover and it goes to your spouse. And in that text, it wasn't, hey, I want to make love to you Friday night when my wife's making those carrot muffins. It was the sick shit that he's texted to these other women that have come out. And so not only do you find out that your man is for sure cheating on you again, but it's like horrifying and disgusting. And you're like, oh, I'm so grossed out. How could I ever be in your presence again if this is what you want to do to other women,
Totally. I think that, he apparently met her in Bible study.
Wait, Armie met Elizabeth.
Elizabeth in a Bible study is what I heard. Now, Armie, I don't think religion matters to him at all. But I think he would use religion, again, like his grandfather would, or great-grandfather, where, there was a girl that actually DM'd my friend that dated him in high school.
Dated Armie.
And she kind of lured her in and was like, oh, well, my family's Jewish. His family was evangelical. They had some Jewish background, but like he would use it almost as like.
But he said that not, because the dad was the grandpa,
and because he knew it was what would kind of make this girl feel like more connected with him.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, I think he uses it whenever it's convenient for him. I'm sure maybe Drew sent him to that Bible study and he was just doing it to appease his mother.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely think he wanted to appease his mom, and again, bringing his two mistresses. That weren't mistresses because he was legally separated when he was dating the Paige. And what was the other girl's name?
There was Paige, Courtney, Effie.
Okay, Paige and Courtney both met the mother.
Yeah, they both met the mom.
Which, I always would get like a little high when a guy would say, you're gonna meet my mom, because I was like, I'm a delight.
Yeah.
The moms are going to love me.
Yes.
And I think the same thing happens when a guy has a delightful mom.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, like she's sweet, she's nice, she's well dressed, she's gonna be so nice to these girls. And of course, and everybody's just getting this false image of, oh wait, he is really normal. Oh, he is really delightful. Oh, and even like, oh, Armie, I'm so sorry to hear about Elizabeth, but she's beautiful, and be good to him. And it's all just like such a facade.
Totally.
And you're like, what the hell is this?
It's such a good manipulative tactic for somebody,
it's
because
like when
who doesn't get high on it? It's
also the guys that introduce their children to girls too often, too early.
Yeah.
So like, respect the guy that's like, I really like you, but I don't introduce anybody to my kid until further on, because it's like, it's not a puppy. Like, I get why guys get dogs and go to the dog park.
Yeah.
Dog, lure the pussy dogs. I don't care. But when people use like that, you know, the kid or the mom or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's very serial dater-ish.
It's definitely a manipulation tactic, because who doesn't get excited about meeting the parents? It means something, right?
Yes.
Or it's supposed to. But for these shameless men, they'll bring as many girls around their family, you know, without a care in the world. The family's probably used to it, and the family probably has a whole act down pat. Like, Armie's bringing around another girl. Like, time to bring out the cookies. Like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I think they cover for that person. But it creates this sense of trust and like closeness.
And I think she wants to believe, the mom.
Of course she does.
She wants to believe that her life is more normal than it is.
Of
that
course she
her
does.
son wasn't affected by his weird background. And
Totally.
that because she does believe in God, and that was one of the things that like Paige or one of them said, that she was like, I really think if Armie could just get back into the grace of Jesus Christ or whatever. And so I really do believe that she's a believer of Jesus Christ, and was just hoping that, like, even though she married this guy that she now realizes is gross because she divorced him, that she's like, no, my son can be saved, and this was just a little snafu in his life. And I mean, I don't know what she's thinking now about all of this. Do you have any scoop on if she's reached out to anybody or anything?
You know what? Drew has a foundation that helps like women in their time of need, which is so crazy to me, because her and Casey's relationship and the rapport there was not very like helpful of a woman in need. But the one thing about their religiousness and all of that I did hear from BBF Bravo today, she sent this to me so I could share it with you guys. So they have a video that they released because they were going, I guess, into certain countries that were like maybe like war torn or had different issues going on to try to convert people of the Jewish faith. They have this video that I found BBF Bravo sent to me on YouTube.
Okay.
It is literally like people like going into a concentration camp, and then Jesus is there. And then
wait, what year is this?
This was like recently. So this was a video they made to basically as propaganda to try to convert these people.
Yes.
Because they're very evangelical. So they, in the video, the people are going into like Auschwitz. And then Jesus comes up and the Nazi shoots Jesus. And then it just pans to, this Jew died for you. And that was their strange conversion attempt to kind of
and then didn't the Drew's dad was Jews for Jesus, and it was at Armin's funeral that Drew's dad spoke and said, on his deathbed he accepted Jesus Christ as his savior, and everyone's like, wait, I thought he was Jewish.
He was 92. He was going to get bar mitzvahed. He was ready to like accept the faith. And everything.
He really was now.
He was going for it. You know, the WASP Act was over. The Unitarian Act was over. He was going to be Jewish for the end of his life. And so, you know, he never made it to his bar mitzvah, but there were all these famous rabbis at his funeral. So can you imagine? Then Drew's father gets up and says, well, I have news for you all. Like, you know, Armand accepted Jesus on his deathbed. And it's like, well, Armand isn't really here to corroborate that. Yeah. And then they all started taking all of Armand's money out of the Met. His name got taken off the Met.
Let's talk about the gallery stuff.
Oh, I mean.
Explain the whole
there's so much
art gallery thing and the ties to this and the illegal stuff that happened there too.
So the family owned the Knoedler Gallery, which was around for like 165 years. It survived the Civil War. Like this was an old gallery in New York City, very prestigious.
Okay.
And so when Armand died, Michael Hammer gained control of the gallery.
Okay.
And so there's a whole documentary you can watch on Netflix. It's called Made You Look. And essentially what happened was this woman named Anne Friedland, I think her name was, she took over as sort of like the curator and like seller of like the art at the gallery.
Okay.
So one day a woman from Long Island rolls up, you know, with the Jackson Pollock paintings that fell off the truck. She was literally like, oh yeah, there's this man and he bought these back when they were only, you know, maybe 10 grand or whatever they were, back when Pollock and Motherwell and Rothko weren't famous. And you know, they don't really care about the money. So they're just trying to offload these paintings that they could be making probably $10 million for like $100,000. Because, you know, they just don't care about the money. They just want to get rid of them, which makes so much sense.
Right. Doesn't everybody take 1% of what something's worth?
And like knowing just rich people, like the last thing they care about is money. They're just so like giving, like Mother Teresa. So anyway, she saw the painting. She totally either bought it or it was so beneficial to her that she didn't care.
Yeah.
And you'll have to watch the documentary to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Michael was in Cayman, but he was also, you know, the
Overseeing, kind of.
owner.
Yeah.
And she was in his charge. So anyway, the paintings keep on rolling in, you know, and they sold, I think, $80 million worth of these paintings. So they come to find out that it was an operation. The woman in Long Island, this man, Jose Carlos, who was her, you know, boyfriend, who had been involved in art fraud in Spain before. And a man from China who flew in, who had figured out how to replicate these paintings to a T. And he even would get the nails from the time that they were painted and all that stuff. So it was like they really did a good job. But then there were different like independent groups that were, you know, renowned for kind of evaluating art and like establishing like its veracity, making sure it's real. They told them multiple times, hey, we see some snags in this. The woman did not want to listen. She was benefiting so much from these pieces of art.
Fake art, yeah.
That she, you know, she just kept doing it. And so this guy reported her to the FBI. The FBI got in and kind of unveiled the whole thing. And the only person that went to jail was the one woman who initially, you know, rolled up with the paintings that fell off the truck. Oh. Everyone else kind of got off. The one artist flew to China. He lives in China now. You know, Michael Hammer got into some trouble because he was using the art gallery as like his personal piggy bank, doing a lot of sort of sketchy things.
I heard that Chinese guy, artist guy, he actually is the one who designed Bolo's Chanel stripper outfit from The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Listen, you know,
he's moved on to other artificial things. Yeah,
you know, the Bravo sphere is very forgiving.
Oh my God, it's very forgiving. They don't care where that Chanel outfit came from, and everyone's like, "Why have I not seen this outfit in Neiman's?"
No questions asked.
Yes,
you know.
Well, so where does the art stand in their family now? Then after this scandal and everything,
so
in galleries and all that.
So the gallery, what ended up happening was Michael was going to trial and things were settled before the trial even happened. And the gallery was sold for $31 million to like what looks like a law entity, which is so random. And then it's changed owners a few times. And like, I think somebody actually turned it into something more residential. But I got a tip from somebody, you know, that like isn't like a rinky-dink source. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to check this one out. Oh, the gallery was sold to Jeffrey Epstein. And I was like, what? And we're in this volatile time where anytime somebody doesn't like a celebrity, they're like, he was on Epstein Island. Like, you know what I mean? It's right, like Oprah, right. Like, yeah, was on Epstein Island. So I take all the Epstein stuff with a grain of salt. Okay. And I could not tie it back to him. I really couldn't. The only thing that was really interesting, I was talking to my friend Regina about this. She looked up the address. Epstein's apartment was a block away from the gallery. So
I thought I did read about Epstein in the Vanity Fair article, or was that a different Epstein? It was
Jay Epstein who wrote the book about the grandfather.
Well, that was confusing.
So it's confusing.
All right. So that, that he bought it. Yeah. Well,
yeah. So I couldn't tie it back. You know, the gallery's defunct and now it's just like a townhouse, but he did live a block away. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing if two rich people, you know, that were into art, you know, that had a gallery and a house a block away, knew each other. You know.
And to some sick shit on the side.
I mean, maybe Epstein
and
sent
massages.
The gag gift.
And massages.
Yeah.
Big fan of massages.
Big fan. The Biltmore, you know, made a dime off of them.
Oh my God. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before we get to the next topic?
Well, I mean, I can just tell you a few things about Armie's girls.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, I stand behind all those women.
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
I had definitely dated an Armie in my early 20s. Thank God I got out of that. You know, and
he was someone who was abusively manipulative.
Super manipulative, coercive, like psychologically abusive.
Where you're like gaslighting you. You're like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah, exactly. For years. And just like, I think what the takeaway from this is, this kind of behavior reads like a script. When you hear from any of these women, it's like, the insane introducing to the family, love bombing. Oh my God, you're the greatest in the world, divulging.
And then also I like the way they turn it around and they're like, you're awful to me. I'm a victim. Like turning like, you don't want to be with me.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? You have 8 other girlfriends. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, like, that aspect
like
of it too.
Grooming and manipulation. So, you know, just take this as a case study. If you're hearing this story, take it as a case study for what to look for, to avoid.
Yes.
And you know, I've talked to a few of the girls. So I talked to Effie the other day. We had a brief
How's
conversation.
Effie I've talked about on this show. She is the person who is anonymous and has a Instagram account where she posts a lot on Insta Story. She answers questions on Insta Story. She shares. Describe, in your opinion, what was her relationship with Armie and what years, where did it fall between? Because that's where I'm sort of confused, where this chick House of Effie comes into play between Elizabeth, Paige, and Courtney. Like where?
I think it definitely was going on when Elizabeth was, you know, in the picture.
Okay.
Because I think he would take his daughter out on walks and meet with Effie.
In what area of town?
I think it was in New York City.
So this was in New York City. Effie was there. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, she would kind of fly around, and sometimes he would like ghost her. She would go somewhere and he would ghost her.
You mean he would invite her to come see him in some city and then not return her calls?
And then ghost her.
And she's staying in a hotel.
Exactly.
Would he pay for the hotel? Was this woman independently wealthy that she could fly around waiting for him to show up and hit her, or what?
You know what? I think she had made some money on her own in LA being a beautiful girl, but like, cause I think she worked at like a club and like she probably was doing some modeling or something. Like she was, you know, she was working hard. But anyway, you know, they had this really volatile relationship over the span of many years where, you know, there was a lot of coercion going on. There was things that were not agreed upon that happened in the bedroom.
So it was also an S&M relationship. And in your opinion, what you've studied, was it as extreme as the A being carved on Paige's pelvic bone and things like that?
Oh my God, yes. Like he wanted to put a, you know, belt around her neck and clasp it, and she said no, and the act ended up happening allegedly.
Like while they're having sex, so she'd like pass out momentarily, or?
I don't think she passed out, but she was definitely bruised from it, and it was definitely something that she found to be dangerous and she didn't agree upon.
Okay.
So that's where like the difference between BDSM and like, you know, coercion and rape comes in is like the consent factor. Some people are into this stuff, you know, but like if you say that that's not agreed upon, it's not agreed upon.
And when I've like argued with some people that don't have the knowledge that you and I have of this, and they're kind of like, oh, come on with this story of the rib and the smoker that, you know, you can get at Costco and like whatever, you know, like when they talk like that. And I go, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they're like, but, you know, if you agree, you agree. I'm like, like within the Paige case, her arms were up.
Yeah.
She couldn't stop when this was happening, when the A was happening on her.
Yeah.
That, like, so agreeing to, you know, have this, and then like, where's the safe, you know, and then a safe word is ignore. I don't know. I mean, there's so many freaking rules. Like, God, I like to have sex when I'm a little bit buzzed. If I had to think about like language and everything.
There's no excuse for it. And if you were going to carve your initial into somebody, that's something you would discuss before you did it. Like,
well, and it's like, I also feel like he got that idea from the Nexium thing.
He probably freaking did. You know? And I think the other thing to remember is when you're in a panicked response, there's fight and flight, but there's also freeze. And if you see a woman having a freeze response, a good guy would say, hey, are you okay? This is like seeming like you're not into this.
Yes.
You seem like your soul's left your body. You're dissociating. A normal guy that's not being abusive would take note of that and stop.
Right.
So there's no excuse. And, you know.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. So get back into
Well, the one thing I will say about Effie is she's a cool girl.
Okay.
And she's real and she's anonymous. And I can totally see why she would come forward anonymously. And she's dealt with so much criticism. And I have to say, like, she is going through PTSD to the tune of 100,000 followers, so many hate accounts, so many different things. So when she lashes out or seems like some sort of way that people are having a negative response to, I'm just seeing somebody that's going through PTSD in front of the world.
Well, it's kind of brilliant the way she's doing it, because she's getting her story out.
Yeah.
But still protecting herself, because, you know, when I watched the final episode of Alan versus Farrow, which we're going to do Juicy Crimes on this weekend for Patreon and get into it, but I'm going to give you guys the week to catch up and watch it, because you really got to watch all 4 episodes. But with Dylan Farrow, you know, she comes out and tells her story as an adult. Yeah. But still, now, I mean, people already knew, if they did the research, her husband didn't when he met her, knew the, you know, accusations that happened with her father when she was 7. But to come out again and then have people question it, it's just like really heartening. But you want your story to get out there so that people are made aware of your story. It's just a very
And how brave of her to be the trailblazer on the internet when he has all these Call Me By Your Name fans and people that like attack, like, you know, and what I can say from TikToking about these men, Marilyn Manson has 12 allegations and is being investigated for children and trafficking. And I still have people that come at me for, you know, saying anything negative about
exposing about him.
So, you know, I mean, there are always going to be those people. And if you're one of those people and you're listening, like, please get a grip, because, you know, these are real victims that are going through this.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other juicy thing I can tell you in regards to the women, you know, that I've had interactions with, there's Miss Cayman, who was the woman Armie had a Finsta. She was seen on all fours in his
Finsta
hotel
means
room.
a fake Instagram.
Fake Instagram, yeah.
Account. So he had a Instagram account under a different name, but it was truly him. It's been proven it truly was him posting things. How many years did he have this, and what were some of the things that he's posted over the years on this fake Instagram account?
You know what? I don't know that they know how many years it was, but there was a core group of friends that followed it.
Okay.
And one of them is the Ferrati, you know, gym guy that like has gotten kind of called into.
What's Ferrati?
His last name is like Ferrati.
Okay.
And he's like the personal trainer that trains Armie and Jonas and a few of the guys that are connected. There was the LAPD detective who was on there. So
who's the psychiatrist?
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
It was his friend, and I saw those photos where they're having dinner with a bunch of guys, and that's sort of interesting that they were so close.
Oh yeah.
And he is now an LAPD psychiatrist. Yes.
And then there were the Ramsey brothers, who are Ashton and I think Tyler Ramsey, who are also connected to the Westcotts.
Of Cameron Westcott of Dallas.
Yeah. So
how are they all connected?
Their mothers, I think, are friends from Oklahoma or Texas.
Okay.
So it's like a family friend situation. But anyway, all roads lead back to Bravo.
And Santa, probably because of Santa Barbara too.
Yeah.
Because Cameron what's her last name?
Westcott
from Real Housewives of Dallas. She grew up in Montecito.
I think it was on the Westcott side, though.
Oh, but on the Westcott
I think it was her
side.
husband.
Still, it doesn't mean that Cameron's doing anything creepy.
Yeah.
It just means that...
oh, it totally does, and I love Cameron.
Yeah. and it just means, you know...
They know each other.
Rich people...
I mean, they also know Kathy Lee Gifford.
And now, who was the person that was redoing the Joshua Tree motel... That he helped with the construction on during the summer months that people went missing.
That was Ashton Ramsey. And Jess the writer, one of the other girls that came out about Armie, she posted alleging that Ashton Ramsey was the guy who made the friend who made the comment in the Vanity Fair article. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Jess said.
All right.
So anyway, had an interaction with Miss Cayman because
Miss Cayman, so he calls her Miss Cayman because... This is the girl that he's supposedly seeing. Well, he's been in the Cayman Islands for how many months now? Has he been in the Cayman Islands?
He was there since December. So he's been there for a while, and he posted this thing on his Finsta of her on all fours in his hotel bed. Mm-hmm. So I found a bunch of pictures of her, you know, with this romantic beach setting, all these different things, and then all of a sudden an engagement ring pops up. Mm-hmm. And so I made the connection, oh my God, is she engaged to Armie? You know, because I could see that being like a love bombing tactic. So I posted it on my Insta story, and Miss Cayman saw. And Miss Cayman had a rebuttal.
And what did she say?
And Miss Cayman took all of my photos and she made a video with the song by Mariah Carey, Why Are You So Obsessed With Me? And put a slideshow of my photos and tagged me. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to first of all DM her and I'm going to get in on the joke. I'm reposting it.
Yeah.
So I DM'd her and I was like, hey, you know, I took it down, like no bad blood, genuinely curious. And she said, all good. But I thought it was I told her, I was like, that's pretty funny. Like, you know, I am obsessed. I'm curious. Like, please tell me.
But she wouldn't confirm if they were engaged or dating or what.
She wouldn't. And her reaction leads me to believe that I think they're no longer seeing each other. If I were to guess. Yeah.
I had someone DM me saying, and they did not want to be, you know, exposed, that they're, someone is a massage therapist at one of these hotels.
Yeah.
And that Michael would go there all the time, and that Armie's been waiting to get massages and is nothing but a delight in the waiting room.
Yeah. I mean,
he's definitely there. And I don't know he may never leave. He may be, you know, like Roman Polanski, but just not acting. Or maybe in a couple years, he'll be like Woody Allen, where only the movies are in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's just going to wait it out and get tan.
Listen, all I know about this case is there's a lot that wasn't said in Vanity Fair. There's still a lot to uncover. And, you know, I think it's going to be like one of these things that continues to unravel. So
Yeah, we'll see, with the whole thing that happened in the Joshua Tree, that's been pretty much silent for a while.
yeah.
But I don't know. There could be more there. Okay, let's move on. So you did some great TikToks on the Meghan Markle. I know sometimes people are like getting tired of it, but here's some latest that's happening. Okay. Buckingham Palace, this is just this morning, reportedly hires a law firm to investigate bullying allegations against Duchess Meghan. I mean, there has been some kind of funny stuff. Like, who said it? Like, I mean, I want to move on, but I watched 2 hours of these 4 guys on YouTube that study body language.
Yeah.
And what things mean. And it is kind of funny because one of the things is clearing your throat and coughing. And then Peter and I were watching Alan versus Farrow. And every time Woody Allen talks, he goes, and I'm like, has he had a cold for 80 years or is this a thing? But yeah, that was very interesting. And who is he protecting and what's going on? Do you have any latest on any of that?
God, I mean, well, I've been following the Meghan stuff for a while.
I know what I want to ask you about. You noticed a couple fun things that the blog.
Yeah.
So Meghan Markle had this blog in or before doing Suits.
Yeah.
Kind of when blogs were what a podcast is today or TikTok. And like, people really like got down and wrote shit.
Yeah.
And she had a very popular one.
Yeah.
And what did she write about Kate Middleton back then before she had ever dated Harry?
So she, I mean, obviously, Kate Middleton, when that wedding was happening, we were all talking about
Yes.
it. So she had interviewed a Libyan princess and she was like, listen,
Who's that?
So it was like a princess from like the country of Libya.
Oh, Libya.
Like,
okay, sorry. I didn't hear you. Go on.
So anyway, she just tied in the Kate Middleton stuff of it all. So she was saying, I wanted to be like She-Ra, Princess of Power, He-Man's like counterpart, and it's like an 80s cartoon reference that I wasn't alive for.
Yeah.
But then she's like, women have this internalized fantasy of becoming like a royal when they're adults, and
Yes.
so many people want to be like Princess Kate, and like I wouldn't. She was essentially saying, that's not the kind of princess she'd want to be,
right?
Which she is doing a great job of, not being that princess. But I mean, I think it harkens back to the idea that like. I don't think she knew nothing about them, but I don't say that too often because people use that against her in such a vicious way that has nothing to do with the fact that, like, honestly, like, what do people expect? Like,
I think what happened was, just like everybody else, she was aware of it, but she wasn't like a total freak about like, I've got to buy every magazine that has a royal article in it.
Totally.
Was she aware of it? Yes. Have we all thought about it? Yeah. I don't think she was like masturbating to Harry for years or like had a board with secret things on it. But then when the opportunity came up, do you want to meet Harry? She was like, hell yeah, who wouldn't? And then I think that they fell in love. But I think she could have, if I was her friend, I would have been like, you should be a little more like forthcoming with like, who didn't know about Princess Diana? And I would say, of course I knew who he was.
Of course, living under a rock.
Yeah, I didn't know who his last 3 girlfriends were. Thought maybe there was a blonde girl, but like, and then, but I do believe that she was like, no, I didn't really understand what it would truly mean.
Yeah.
To be a princess. I think she thought, I'm going to get to go to fancy things. I'm going to have people help me get outfits. I'm not going to have to ever load a dishwasher, but I don't think she really understood, how much of her life would be scrutinized.
Oh, 100%.
That's what I think. That part I think she's being honest about. But anyway, there was an article came out in Page 6. Apparently she has this is a rumor, I don't know. She has a bid for the U.S. president. I think it's just whatever. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if who's to say in 10 years she isn't like running for something. I would not be surprised if in 10 years she's running for governor. I mean, if Arnold became our governor and if Trump became our president, who's to say that Meghan Markle won't have some type of political aspirations at some point?
I feel like she has the diplomatic gene. She's hanging out with Michelle Obama behind the scenes. I'd vote for her,
But I mean, it would be a little ironic that, she gets back into a place where she'd be criticized every day. But who doesn't criticize her? Her chickens.
Yeah,
they
her chickens.
love her. Okay, this breaking news happened. The talk is taking a hiatus. In a nutshell, what happened last week is that, as we know, Pierce Bronson, who I always say before I fix that part, I always say this because I'm thinking of someone hotter. Okay, Piers Morgan, as we know, has been a little bitter since she blew him off.
Just a
they
little.
met once, blew him off. I don't think it was necessary. I think he was charmed by her beauty. I don't think he ever thought he would date her.
Yeah.
I think he was just like, I had the first in when you were nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody even knew about your dumb show suits. I
Yeah.
did. I mean, I sometimes feel that way about Bravo stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I remember where I was the first time I even heard about Real Housewives of Orange County, and we were the first one to parody it on Chelsea Lately, and I get no respect. So I feel that for Piers, okay?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he just really kept it going.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he said, I don't believe her, and that was interpreted as, very angry towards her. Anyway, so he quit, right? He quit, or they encouraged him to quit. Anyway, he's off his show.
Yeah.
Sharon Osbourne, who of course is English as well, they've been friends for a long time, she defended them. And then there was this moment on Wednesday where Cheryl Underwood, who's been on the show for many years, they start having this conversation, and Sharon does not come off well.
Yeah.
They come from a break, and the whole time Cheryl Underwood is being extremely calm, really like, you're my friend, and I want to talk to you, and I'm just saying why you acting like this is being interpreted this way. And she's like, and don't you try to cry. Don't you dare try to cry. She says to Cheryl, like, accusing Cheryl of now putting on fake, if anyone should be crying, it should be me.
Yeah.
And that really struck a chord with audience of just like, who do you think you are? Like, anyway. So since it's been happening, Yashir Ali, who I've been following for a long time, he just really finds the juice from every aspect of life, not just pop culture stuff, I suggest. So he put all these things that she did that are very questionable. Sharon Osbourne said in 2018 on The Talk, Megan Markle, she ain't black. When told by her co-stars that Megan Markle is indeed black, her mother is black, Sharon says, yeah, I know, but she doesn't look black. Okay, that was one situation that happened. Then in an interview in 2013, now that was a while ago, but still 2013, Sharon Osbourne said about Justin Bieber when he peed in a bucket that was filmed or whatever. She said, it's like, oh, we're the bad boys. Fuck off. You don't know what bad is. And I think he's lost. I really do. I think he doesn't realize he's white and not black. That's a huge problem. And at the point he's at his career, it's dangerous because we've seen all of it a million times before. So that isn't great. Anyway, they probably saw the tweets too at The Talk, and they're going to start to go back, and there's probably 10 people in a room investigating every episode and seeing what other thing is going to be dug up, what we do about Sharon Osbourne. Of course, Holly Robinson Peete, who was an original cast member of The Talk, has said that she and Leah both said that at one point Sharon said that they were both too ghetto for the show, in which Sharon is saying, I've never said that. And I don't think there's any proof that she said it.
Yeah.
But they both said she did.
Yeah.
And they both felt that she had a hand in getting the two of them fired way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I just thought of Kelly Osbourne, and I like Kelly Osbourne, but she has said some things too that to me, makes me just think, this is just a person who has been raised very wealthy.
Yeah.
Her problematic thing was when she was on The View, which was talking about Trump. And she said, if Trump doesn't allow any Latinos in, who's going to clean his toilets?
That's not a good
And
look.
then she did immediately while on the air.
Yeah.
And he said, this is live. Then she immediately said, no, that's not what I meant. She profusely apologized.
Yeah.
But then people said, well, 7 months prior when you were on Fashion Police, you essentially left because Juliana Rancic was handed a joke written by a producer in which she talked about Zendaya, who was only 18 at the time and known for being a Disney star. She had her hair in braids and dreadlocks, I guess, or braids. And she said, oh, her hair looks like it would smell like patchouli. Patchouli? Am I saying it right?
Patchouli, yeah.
And you live in Venice. And weed. And I remember when I heard that, my first thought was, oh, maybe Zendaya is very upset because she's, super anti-drug.
Yeah.
And would never want to be associated with smelling like, a drug.
Yeah.
Even if it's legal. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, that is an offensive comment to, to people who wear their hair like that. So she leaves because of that. I'm just saying, I think it's very interesting to watch. I think this is a family that has come from a lot of money and a lot of success easily handed to them.
Totally.
And it's not their fault. Someone gives you a talk show, you're going to say no? Zen Blonde? They hand you a talk show and you go, you know who really deserves one? Heather. You might say that.
I am pretty
selfless. And I might go, Zen Blonde, take it. Just take it. It's okay. It's fine. I get it. So, she has a fun personality. People like to hear English accents. It's like, I get why they're successful, and they're been on TV for many years and have many opportunities on many shows that they've been on, have been successful. So I'm not saying that their success is not well-deserved, but it has been handed. And I just think all this stuff is just really making people really reflect.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I think it's really good. We'll see what happens. I don't want to see anybody have to leave a show or anything. But then I think it's like the domino effect of everyone wants their hands free.
Totally. And I think to point fingers at Juliana over something that a producer gave her.
Yeah.
Instead of making that a teachable moment where it's like, hey, you're empowered as a host to say, hey, this doesn't look right to me. Let's have a conversation.
But I always said about that, someone wrote it.
Yeah.
The head writer agreed to it.
Yeah.
She said it. Then someone edited it.
Yeah.
Then another person said, it's a go.
Yeah.
Put it on the air.
Yeah.
And not until people started to watch it and go, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Did then those 8 people that said yes after Juliana, so that's where I'm like, sometimes the stars aren't protected either. In the Sharon Osbourne conversation with her heated moment with Cheryl Underwood, that's just real. And that's what's real about the talk, is that they're talking back and forth. But, I think the lesson is, don't defend your friend if it's not necessary. How about you don't defend? You listen, they're not in quicksand.
Yeah.
They're not actually about to drown. They just stepped in some shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let them clean their shoe off themselves and don't talk about it. That's what I would give my advice in this day and age. Think about who you're going to defend, and is it really going to help you?
Is that the hill you want to die on?
Yeah. Alec Baldwin still defending Woody Allen.
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yes, he did. He just did another video, kind of saying like, "Let me just say," and he's trying to say it was never proven. It never went to court. Therefore, if it never went to court, why? And it's just like, again, listen, just don't. Zen Blonde, also known as Lauren Skae, real delight. Thank you for dressing up, looking cute. Thank you for all your info. Thank you to Bravo fucking Bravo. Thank you to Casey Hammer. What was the other one? Bravo Cocktails.
Bravo, Ducking Bravo, and BBF Bravo.
Also, Bravo Cocktails I follow.
She's great.
There's a lot of really great other accounts that I follow on Instagram, House of Effie, all these things. So, and, because I'm not finding it all on my own. I'm gathering it all and then explaining it for you guys, and I appreciate it. So... And you're on TikTok at the Zen Blonde. I really suggest people follow you. You're always coming up with some juicy content, explaining it really well. So thank you.
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, we're doing a GoFundMe for Casey Hammer right now. So I'm going to be plugging that on my Instagram. We just buy her book, Surviving My Birthright, and
that's
support
an easy
Casey.
way to do it. And you brought me a beautiful gift along with these flowers.
You won't be able to tell by the box, but
well, you told me what it is.
I told you what it is. It might be hard to open.
Oh,
I tried to open mine yesterday.
Okay, sorry. I'm not going to open it because I don't want to break my nails. But it is a
pink taser.
A pink taser, but just in case, with all the hard-hitting news I've been sharing around about the world.
But just to warn the Hammers, if you're watching, Peter comes to work with her. So
yes. So get ready. Yes. Also, there's a Target nearby that might be appealing to anybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm coming back to do live stand-up shows, and my next one is in Dallas, March 26th and 27th. So many more dates are set for the rest of this year. Please go to heathermcdonald.net for your tickets. Also, you can join Patreon there for extra juicy scoop every Friday, juicy crimes, juicy things about my life. It is all there on patreon.com. Check it out. No one ever regrets it.